Cheaters of Reddit, how did the work from home situation affected the affair you were having? One of my staff found out her husband was having an affair at the beginning of lockdown. While we were waiting for IT equipment, we had staff log onto the system using their own devices, and her husband had saved a hotel booking confirmation to the desktop of the laptop she hadn't used for a while. Idiot. So what happened next? It's not great. He was very sorry and didn't want to lose her, promising her the earth. And then the other woman started turning up at the house demanding to see him and wanting to tell her all sorts of tales about what they got up to and shouting at her for standing in the way of true love, etc. She took an overdose not long after and was in hospital for a bit, then moved in with her parents, and we think the other woman had moved in, but don't know for certain. When offices were allowed to open again, our company decided they would only be for absolutely essential on-site work, so I had to negotiate with the director for her to be allowed to work in the office a couple times a week, as WFH full-time really wasn't good for her. I just want to say thank you for being an awesome boss and allowing her the time and flexibility to deal with that awful situation. A lot of bosses would not have given her it. My ex-boss would be in that camp. So thank you and keep up the good work of caring about your employees. Holy it, that's awful. I feel so sorry for her. May her ex-husband and his mistress step on Lego pieces barefoot for the rest of their days. I've heard a few stories of people getting caught due to the fact that constant texting became real obvious. One case of someone getting caught for inviting people from a dating app over to the house while everyone else was out working. Personally, I have no idea how people find the time to have a job and 2 relationships. Just ridiculous. I have 1 job and 1 relationship. The admin for those is already ridiculous. I can't possibly remember another birthday, let alone remember secrets. Last year, Jaguar Land Rover had to shed 4,500 employees to reduce their mounting debts. They did this by offering a fat voluntary redundancy package. I mean, this thing was gold plated. If you'd worked there for over 20 years, you were being given almost £40,000 to walk away, and the guys within 10 years of retirement were going for it. Apart from one fella. See, he had a testing job at Millbrook, so one week he was in Warwick, and the next at Millbrook, and alternated every week. He'd been in that role since forever, and had a wife and kids in Warwick, and also had cultivated a long-term girlfriend and even had kids near Millbrook. Neither knew about the other, and he was telling both families that he was away with work on the alternating weeks. The guy had kept this up for 15 years plus, and I cannot imagine the deceit gymnastics his brain would have to do to keep the lies going. One day he said that he's not looking forward to retiring, as both women will obviously be expecting him to retire to them, his one family, so that was his deadline. So this VR package comes around and he has to decline a tax-free lump sum and the ability to retire early, because he cannot get out of this mess he's in. I left at this time, but he stayed, and must have thought he got a stay of execution, but from what colleagues have said is that when lockdown came into effect and he was furloughed, he got found out anyway, and is now being sued and divorced by both women, as well as missing out all that lovely cash. I have no sympathy for him. Bro, I fully despise him for the lives he will end up ruining. But also, that's actually pretty incredible he was able to do that. I want to know so much more about his life. Did he travel? Which family did he take? Did he have 2 social media accounts? What about the kids' extracurricular activities on weekends? How did he afford 2 homes and 2 families? Who did he spend long weekends with? What a stressful life he must have lived. To reiterate though, he freaking sucks. I got the impression he sucked as a partner/dad to both lots, as he wouldn't do holidays, childcare when a partner was sick, was perceived as a miser with cash as he was supporting both households, kept refusing to marry the second woman, dealt with Christmases by intentionally having an argument so he could storm out for a couple of days, or saying he had critical testing work to do. Despite him having to make out it's a low-paying job as he was spreading the money 2 ways, etc. etc. I genuinely didn't envy him, as, instead of having some best of both worlds type situation, he was instead barely present in either, and must have lived in constant fear of the truth coming out, but not so fearful he wouldn't let slip stuff at work, hence us all knowing about it. I've come from a family wrecked by a cheating father, so I hate people like him, and if I'd have ever got an opportunity to tell his wife I would have done. He's wasted everyone's leaves. Not me, but a friend was living with her partner through lockdown. Thought he was going for long dog walks or to visit his mum. Turns out he was actually going to his pregnant girlfriend's house. Yikes, what happened after she found out? She found out because the pregnant girlfriend had tagged him in a photo on Instagram which he didn't remove quickly enough. PG was unaware he was living with someone else also. He went down the route of I never said we were exclusive. Anyway, my friend, the pregnant girlfriend and this guy's ex-wife have been in contact with each other discussing the emotional trauma he's put them all through. Not sure if she's keeping the baby. Yikes indeed. Holy it. This guy's spawned a support group that literally puts him in the same category as cancer, child loss, and drug abuse. The pregnant girlfriend and this guy's ex-wife have been in contact with each other discussing the emotional trauma he's put them all through. Oh frick. My neighbor got busted cheating on his sea diet that he and his wife were doing. He'd go out for a run up to Little Caesars, eat a pizza and drink a soda, then come home sweaty and directly take a shower and brush his teeth to hide it from his wife who was diligently doing her part in the diet. He was outed when restrictions relaxed around here and one of his teenagers spotting him coming out of the restaurant holding a bag. That story is cute considering what I asked for. Little Caesars is not safe for work. Not safe for waistlines. His teenager sounds like a frickin' snitch to be honest. I know it's not the same, but I have wondered how the prevalence of Ring doorbells has affected cheaters. Come in through the back door then. Always come in the back door if cheating. Listen buddy, around here we keep our entendres single. My parents broke quarantine rules to have a family friend over and my mum ended up sleeping with him. Are you sure your parents aren't swingers? Answering this on behalf of a friend. The lockdown seemed to make it easy for him to get out of the house. He would go on daily bike rides in the middle of that day and she, his co-worker, would pick him up around the corner and they'd check in at a local hotel. All was great until the it hit the fan. Could tell us part 2 of the story please? Spouses found out, one of them had hired a private detective. Then work found out and an investigation was launched during which both of the guilty parties lied despite it being obvious everyone knew what had gone down. Wife stood by the guy that I know. Don't know what happened on the woman's side as I don't know her well. That's an interesting way of getting your cardio workout. Husband was often tired, but legs were suspiciously noodly. All I can say is regardless of cheating or not cheating, the lockdown opened my eyes to the fact that the person I thought I knew was actually a terrible woman and in no way did she care about me, just about money and getting herself into a better position. I am eternally grateful for the fact that I would have never known if I wasn't forced to spend extra time with said person. Ovid made me realize the exact same thing about my ex-boyfriend. Would have never seen it if it wasn't for Ovid to be honest. Yep. Moved in beginning of August with someone I had been dating for over a year before that. I was just blindsided a week ago today that she's unhappy and wants me to move out. I say blindsided, I thought things were fine, but now with the benefit of hindsight I see that they were very much only fine and neither of us were happy. In a sense I'm glad she had the balls to do what needed to be done, because it's clear we're not right for one another. But at the same time I wouldn't wish an unexpected last-minute low-budget apartment search during a pandemic in the winter on anyone. This freaking sucks, boys. This will be buried, but it's a morbidly interesting story I thought I might share. My co-worker's boyfriend returned from overseas early last year and immediately moved in with her after dating only a year with him in the army. She works at an animal shelter and he got a job working from home. So, she was gone 9 hours a day and he was home. A little more than a month ago she came home to find out he was gone. He got home 20 minutes after her, a bit flushed, saying he had gone to see a friend spur of the moment. She thought it was odd, because usually he'd tell her if he was going anywhere. So, she left early the same day the next week just to see, and sure enough he wasn't there. Stopped by the said friend's house. Boyfriend wasn't there either. Somehow or another she found out he was leaving the same days every week to go see another girl when he should have been working. If anything, Ovid made things easier for him to cheat. Well, Google has made it pretty easy and most of the test answers are right out of the book, so take that, Mrs. Elgar. Thank God for Quizlet, it's really the only reason I'm passing. I don't know what I'd do if I had to take tests in class. You're freaking my English teacher. A place where the difference between your and your is incredibly important. Scrolling through looking for my wife's username. I don't think she's cheating, but you gotta be sure. Fortunately, my husband spends too much time on Reddit to notice I'm gone for extended periods of time, so it's all good on my end. Wait a minute. What's gonna happen to our family? Woof woof. Holy it. You mad lad made this account just for this meme. I think they made 2 accounts just for this meme. For everyone saying frick cheaters, your awards will be in the mail. For everyone else, please share some interesting stories to get us through this Monday. Not a cheater, but I read the news. Some paragon of intelligence went jogging every morning during lockdown in Italy. Fast forward 3 weeks, the wife and children had to take a COVID test because the mistress was positive. Imagine the following weeks as everyone is sealed in the same house.